Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
In my home.
I feel very cozy here.
Yes, it's very cozy. We're in a very cozy spot. I love how in your bio on Instagram, you describe yourself as a basic witch.
Yes.
And I'm starting there because I feel like I want to understand what that means to you.
Okay. People have been calling me a witch for probably most of my life. And honestly, it rings true to me. And I put it in my bio, the basic part, because, you know, my introduction to the spiritual world and I guess witchcraft, you could say, like making magic, was just basic things like astrology, if you would call astrology basic. I mean, it's a whole different world, but my foray into spirituality was just that. Astrology, tarot cards, the occult, like mysticism. And I also wanted to include like this more playful aspect of it. Like spirituality doesn't have to be so serious all the time. So instead of like basic bitch, like basic witch. Can I swear on this?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I wanted to be fun, playful. I love spirituality. And while there's always like a note of seriousness to it, it's also can be fun and playful. You know, creativity, creation is playful.
This is why you're perfect for being here right now, because
Yay.
That's exactly we're making it fun and nothing is taken too seriously.
Okay, good.
We met at one of your new moon circles, and for me it was transformative. And for anyone who doesn't know what a new moon circle is, because my first one was, you know, last October, the Scorpio new moon.
Yes.
And
so potent, so good.
So potent.
Yeah, I love it.
So can you describe for us what is a new moon circle and why do they feel so healing? What is it about them?
We've been gathering in circle for centuries, like since the beginning of time, pretty much. People have been coming in community with each other to pass on information, to discuss what's happening in the clan, and to connect with each other. So really, you can connect in any way that you would like. I just happen to love connecting over astrology and the lunar cycle. So I'm super interested in the lunar cycle because of my connection to, I guess let's call it this law of correspondence. So it's this whole idea of as above, so below, as within, so without, right? So everything that is occurring in our external world, our external environment, is also occurring in our internal world. So we're a mirror to our environment. And just like our environment has seasons, cycles, rhythms, we have seasons, cycles, and rhythms within us. And we can align those external rhythms with our internal rhythms in order to kind of come closer to ourselves, in order to align our personal cycles with the cycles around us. So kind of this is the basis of my circles, is really forming that connection with nature. We've been gathering around in circles for centuries, and we've also been gathering around the new and full moons for centuries, across cultures, across time. And the new moon is just something that really resonates with me. And the moon in general, it's the closest celestial body to Earth. And it's special because while our solar system revolves around the sun, our moon is ours. It revolves around us. It revolves around the Earth. So we have such an intimate connection to the moon and such an interpersonal connection to the moon. So kind of a long-winded way to say, okay, we could tap into these cycles of the moon. We could tap into this energy of the new moon, this creative cycle of nature, and really come into that dialogue with moon cycles in order to create the life we want and come closer to ourselves as humans.
I mean, it sounds like magic.
It is.
What is going on? Why isn't this more common knowledge? I feel like it's not common knowledge.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's dive into it.
And I don't know whether you know why that is. I've never thought about being connected to the moon, honestly, until I came to your session, and then I was kind of hyper-focused on it for a beat, and felt like...
She's enchanting.
Oh, she is. She is.
Yes.
But I also, you know, all I knew about the moon was, oh, the wildlings are going to be wild under the moon, meaning my children. Like, they're going to be extra crazy under a full moon.
Yes.
And I should charge my crystals under a full moon. This is what I've known about the full moon. And, you know, I never thought about a new moon. I just, I don't know. I never thought about it. So why do you think Are we just too far removed from these ancient cultures? Are we too busy? Does nobody teach us?
I think yes to all of those things. I think the society that we live in right now is a very masculinic society, right? Masculine, I don't want to gender anything. Masculine, when I'm talking about that, it's kind of like a more of a quality of energy. So when I say masculine and feminine, it's more of like of a quality. And we all have masculine and feminine within us. One cannot exist without the other. So we live in a masculine society, masculine being something that's more structured, masculine being that's very something that's very action oriented, something that's very like go, go, go. These are my goals. And I'm rewarded by going forward towards my goals because that's what our capitalistic society is focused on. And it does remove us from our natural rhythms and cycles of the moon phases and of our internal world, because we're not supposed to be on all the time. We're not supposed to have that steady 9 to 5 all the time. It's not innate within us. So I'm hoping through the bringing awareness to these moon phases, we can come alive and come awake to really what's innate within us. And that is rhythms and cycles, ups and downs. Everything has a pulsation to it. Everything has this expansion and contraction. We can't be expanding all the time and not expect ourselves to be burnt out from it. We living by these cycles, living through expansion and contraction. It's called spanda in yogic philosophy. This spanda, this pulsation. There's a pulsation to everything. And living by these like ups and downs and expansion and contractions can help us tune into our true nature, which is also feminine. It's not just masculine. We have to balance it out. So I guess that's part of the reason why maybe some people aren't aware of the moon phases. For me, I feel most like myself and most in tune and aligned with myself when I'm aware of what's going on around me in the environment. And I just want to bring that to everyone else too. Did that answer your question? I feel like I just kind of went off a little bit on a tangent.
Good. Okay. So good. And it's all so powerful. I want to go back to what you said about the law of correspondence. Okay. What is the law of correspondence? Can you break it down for me?
Yeah. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Is it like The Secret?
Kind
The
of.
Secret is my generation's like grow up on spirituality. I feel like that was like the closest it got when I was like,
this is like
coming up in the world.
Many of our forays into like spirituality and manifestation. So The Secret is like the law of attraction. Like there are many different universal laws. And it's very mysterious. Like you can't just like pinpoint like what are the universal laws. Like they have kind of a life of their own. And for me, I've not always been aware of the law of correspondence, but things like I felt like things kind of changed in me when I became aware of it and when I gave energy to it. So the law of correspondence basically states that we are a mirror to our external world and vice versa. We are a reflection of our environment and everything that is going on around us. So again, like I said, we experience seasons, cycles, rhythms, astrological weather in our external world. In our internal world, we also experience seasons, cycles, and our own kind of experience that is reflected in the external world. So again, it comes back to that alignment. If we can align our frequency into kind of what's happening in the external world, we could also come closer to our personal growth cycles. So it's just this like kind of feedback loop. We're always kind of like giving and taking through with the environment.
So how do we align our frequency? I mean, multiple questions. How do we align our frequency? But also, is it when it's chaotic when my kids are running around and losing their mind? Is that what's going on inside me?
Oh my God, I feel like I could say so much about it. So that's interesting that you said that about like your kids, just because like it just came up the other day that have you heard of co-regulation of your nervous system? So if you feel grounded in your own nervous system and like calm, then that could also like affect the nervous system of people or like children around you. They did this study in classrooms with students and teachers, and if a teacher had this more grounded nervous system, then the students would have this grounded nervous system. So again, there's that mirror. There's that like as above, so below. I mean, easier said than done, right?
But I feel grounded now sitting with you. And then the second they walk in the door, or really the bathtub, they lose their mind in the bathtub. Like,
Not
what
the
is
bathtub.
it? Shouldn't the bathtub be like a sacred space?
The same space.
And I went up, last night, just because there's probably a lot of moms listening. I went up last night and they were just losing their mind. And I feel like I'm like, I'm zened out. I'm like, Mama Oak, thank you. I am grateful for you. And I'm full of gratitude. Feeling so good. Feeling peace. And then I walk upstairs and I'm like,
right.
I lose it the second I walk in.
Yeah.
So
this is like aligning myself with the seasons around me, with winter. Winter is usually a more internal, reflective season, and
cozy hibernation.
Exactly.
I love
it. January, I did not hit the ground running. I was very, very slow. I did not have any goals. I was just like, this is gonna, it was just like a very slow introduction to the new year. So that's winter. That's one way, is through the seasons, but through the moon phases, if you want to talk about the different moon phases.
Sure do.
Okay, great. So let's start with the new moon then. It takes 28 days for the moon to make one full orbit around the Earth. And if we're talking about that mirror again, women's menstrual cycles, 28 days. So there's this innate connection already between us, especially women, moon representing the feminine. She's our grandmother. And through that cycle, we can access all the different phases of the moon. So we start with a new moon and we go towards the full moon. And that's just an easy way to kind of divide it up. That's how I work with the new moon, or with the moon cycle, is through the new moon and the full moon. So looking at the new moon, this is a time in the sky where the moon appears completely dark to us, right? And that's just scientifically speaking because the moon is directly between the sun and the earth. She's like right between us there. And the moon gets her illumination from the sun, so it's just reflected sunlight. So her shadowed side is facing us. So that's why it appears that way in the sky. And if we want to talk about astrology a little bit, this is when the new moon is when the moon is in the same exact sign as the sun is at the same exact degree. So if we're talking about like a new moon in Aquarius at the end of January, the moon is in the sign of Aquarius. And I look at it as kind of a blank slate in the sky. This is kind of our blank canvas that we can kind of paint the brushstrokes of our lives. And it's super auspicious time for starting new things, starting new projects, setting intentions, planting new seeds, manifestation. So we have that blueprint of energy that we can use from the new moon, and it's flavored by the qualities of the sign that it's in. So if we're talking about the new moon Aquarius, we'll talk about a little bit, we can talk about like the qualities of Aquarius too, being like the rebel and the humanitarian, and how we can use those qualities of Aquarius in order to align our goals with that quality as well. So then as the new moon starts going towards a full moon, it's waxing, right? So from our vantage point on Earth, we see more of the moon becoming visible. So this is our rising action. These are the things that we do to kind of get to our goal or intention that might come to culmination during the full moon. So the full moon is when potentially a goal comes to fruition. It's in its fullness. So how we see it on Earth is that the moon is completely illuminated.
And how many days is that between the new moon and the full moon?
14 days.
14 days.
Yes, so 2 weeks. So there's one new moon every month and one full moon every month.
So the idea is you can manifest something and then 2 weeks later, here we go.
It depends. It depends what sign we're in.
Okay.
So Capricorn season, if you want to go a little bit into this, is more kind of slow moving. Okay. And it's more about kind of stable long-term goals. So a Capricornian new moon might not manifest until 6 months later, which is when the next full moon in Capricorn is. So kind of, it depends on a lot of different things. But
it's nuanced.
You see,
Yes.
It's very nuanced. But you see that rising action, and you might see like on every full moon, those like little checkpoints of your goals, those little like incremental accomplishments that you can kind of physically see. So we're at the full moon now, and full moon is culmination. And the moon also represents our emotions, our intuitions. So she's in her fullness. Emotions are heightened. Mm-hmm. You might be even getting a little bit more intuitive psychic hits because she also represents our subconscious and our psychic abilities. And she illuminates everything in the subconscious. So maybe our tendencies, our blocks come to the forefront, things that are maybe holding us back from and coming to light from our subconscious. The full moon is a great time for reflecting on maybe some of these qualities that have been kept in the dark in our inner world, and then also releasing those, some of those things that are getting in the way of us aligning with our full potential.
Today is a full moon, February 12th is when this is going to be out and live in the world.
Yeah.
So what can people do today to harness this full moon energy? Should they journal? How are they releasing? Are they taking a bath? Like, what are we doing here? What are our action steps here?
Okay, so we're in a full moon in Leo today. So we can, so we've already kind of looked at the qualities of the full moon, and we can kind of add this other aspect of the sign that it's in. And it's in Leo right now. And Leo's a fixed fire sign in the zodiac. So fire being the element that is the action taker, that has inspired vision and creativity. And it's this fire that carries us through to take action in the world. And then a fixed sign is kind of the modalities of the signs. So each of the zodiac signs have modalities. There's cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So fixed is more of like a sustainable thing. It's grounded in reality. So Leo has this amazing ability to take his, I just say his because it's like a masculine quality, right? Mm-hmm. Take his goal, take his creative vision, and ground it down into reality. And it's more like a sustaining fire. It's like a hearth. It like supplies this charismatic energy. It supplies our life forward. And Leo is ruled by the sun. So Leo, like the sun, is very comfortable with all of the planets revolving around him. He loves the stage. He loves being like this main character on a stage, right? His world is his stage, and he's got big main character energy.
That's why you hear Leo season, right? Yes. It's Leo season.
It's at the height of the summer. Yeah. Everyone's like feeling hot, and it's like it's the time to just like be out and be seen, right?
My friend Sierra, who is the episode right before this, she's Leo.
Yes.
And she is like, she's the first person that told me about astrology when we worked at the Ellen Show together. So it's this feeling aligned, but yes, but I can identify with her because I feel like, you know, anyone who has.
And my mom's a Leo too. Shout out, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. I love it. Okay, so Leo. So this is a Leo full moon.
Leo full moon, yes. So, and the sun rules the ego and self-expression, and it's very heart-centered too. So while loving to like be seen and be out in the world, Leo also has such a big heart. He is loyal, he is playful, he is extroverted, and he will spoil all his close families and friends. And he leads from the heart. And I think that's really, really beautiful. And he also has this kind of inner child, like almost innocence to him when he leads forward with his heart. So the question becomes, how do we get towards genuine self-expression rules the self? So genuine self-expression, leading from the heart, getting closer and not being afraid to shine our light into the world, not being afraid to be seen. So something that we can do with this full moon in Leo is think about what we want to let go of that's getting in the way of dimming our light. So what mental beliefs, what intellectual processes, what conditioning is getting in the way of you shining your full self-expression into the world and becoming this highest self. And self as in a self-actualized way and not a selfish way. So we're talking about the capital S self, this unchanging part of the self that everyone has within them. It's called the Atman in yogic philosophy in Sanskrit. So how can we lead that with that place that is wants to be out in the world. And how do we be seen? How can we be seen and let go of all the societal condition that tells us you can't be seen because of X? And if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about when you're like, what is my truest, fullest, highest self? Like, how the heck do I express myself? Leo is also connected to the inner child. So it might also help to think of what would bring my younger self joy? What would bring the child version of myself joy? Because your inner child is just that part of yourself that is so unabashedly him or herself without even thinking about what the implications are in society. So journaling, yes, great. That's one of my favorite practices for new and full moons. I'm a big fan of writing, big fan of journaling. So one of the practices you can do for the full moon in Leo is to write down what you want to let go of that's getting in the way of this full self-expression. And then you could burn it in fire. You could let go of it and it just disperses out into the world since Leo's a fire sign. Yeah. So that's one of the things you could do.
That's fun.
Yeah. Moon bathing. You can get out there and clothed or unclothed. It's optional. Like,
where are we going moon bathing, Lauren? Are we going into the creek?
Definitely your backyard, I feel like. Getting outside and just being under the energy of the full moon and putting your feet in the ground if you're able to. Imagining that there's like roots of a tree growing down from the soles of your feet and just being there. And again, thinking about what do I want to let go of that's getting in the way of me shining my light into the world. And just imagining yourself kind of depositing all these negative anxieties, energies that's getting in the way of your expression and depositing them down into that root system and giving that to the earth. That's also a really nice practice. I always like grounding, being outside, and yeah, just coming close to nature.
I love that.
Yeah. The full moons are also kind of their own way of manifestation. Also, you're releasing something and creating more space for something to come into your life. So that's also a form of manifestation.
I want to talk about manifestation.
Okay.
So I feel like this is a word that is thrown around a lot. And, I have a candle that says manifest that shit that I light every day in my office. Let's start there. What is manifestation?
I think what it comes down to is bringing the immaterial into the material world. And that's just kind of a short and sweet definition of manifestation that I go by.
And does this coincide then with your internal, external mirror?
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's all connected.
It's all connected, baby. You know it.
Okay, so how do we do it? How do we manifest something?
So one of the things I always kind of harp on is this law of correspondence. And one of the things that also aligning our inner and outer cycles help us to do is to kind of engage our natural ability to attract things, like our magnetic ability. So we all have this innate magnetic ability to attract things into our life. Right? So this is part of the feminine aspect of self. And the feminine is very magnetic, sensual, intuitive, creative. She is responsible for creating the world that she desires. And that's what I always love to try to do in my circles, is to kind of put it on you to create the world that you desire, because everyone has this feminine ability to attract what you desire. And you're basically creating this dialogue with the universe, telling the universe how you want it to treat you and what you think you deserve. So from a very internal aspect of manifestation, we're kind of working to cultivate this ability. And there are lots of practices that we can do to do that. So one of the things I love to do on a new moon is a little bit of water magic. If you want to talk about like maybe some practices that you can
water
do.
Magic. Okay. Please tell me more.
Okay. So like we could moon bathe under like whatever phase you want, really. We could also make some moon water. So if you want, you can get a glass jar so it the energy can kind of get through the glass. Fill it with water. It could be a small jar, it can be a big jar, and then put that outside overnight so it absorbs the energy of the new moon. So it's kind of, we're charging up our water, right? And then in the morning, you can grab the water. Some people say to grab it before the sun rises. I've kind of left it out in the sun for a little bit, and we don't have to put ourselves in a certain box for different rituals.
Yes.
So you grab your moon water in the morning, and then I just want to talk about what kind of power water has.
Yes.
Okay, so water holds memory. Water is able to hold memory. There's a study done back in 2006 by Dr. Emoto, and he exposed two groups of water into the first group. He exposed to beautiful calming music, classical music. He exposed it to positive thoughts also, and also positive words. So it's like, thank you, I love you, good job. And he basically kind of infused the water. Now the other group of water, he played heavy metal music. He exposed it to negative thoughts, and then also just mean things to say, like, I hate you, like, I will kill you, just like mean things that no one should ever say to water, basically. And then he froze the two groups into crystals and created snowflakes out of them. And what he found that was the group that was exposed to calming music and positive things, it created these aesthetically beautiful ice crystals. Whereas the other group, the group of water that was exposed to the heavy metal music and mean thoughts and mean words, froze into these kind of disfigured, not fully formed crystals. So he found that basically water holds this memory of being of the environment, holds memory of pollution, holds memory of thoughts and intentions, and we could use that to our advantage.
You're also like 90% made up of water, right?
And we're
I just
in
made
water.
up that statistic, but isn't it? We're like 90% or 95% water, something crazy like that.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up too. We're like roughly 70% water.
I was off, but that's okay.
What else is 70% water though? The earth. We're all a mirror of each other, like as above, so below.
I mean, now it is, but
Yes.
will global warming change that?
Yeah.
Climate change.
I don't know when everyone's listening to this,
For another
but
podcast.
Yeah.
Another
We
time.
can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay, so 70%
Yes.
water.
Yeah.
Us, the earth. Mm-hmm. And we're all obviously able to hold these intentions. Mm-hmm. And
Yep.
it's affecting us as it's affecting what happens. You know, maybe you can only tell with the water when it's freezing. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, maybe you can't tell.
Yeah. There's no like molecule in the water that holds that is visible to see, really. So, but you can charge up this water by holding it in your hand, your little moon water jar, and you can start visualizing where you want to be, what your goal is, what you want to manifest, and that will transfer into your water. And the more specific, the better, honestly. So not only tuning into the vision of what you want to manifest, but also tuning into what it would feel like to achieve that goal. What emotions can you tap into? What senses can you tap into? What are you seeing as if you've already manifested your goal? What are you tasting? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? Who are you with? Really putting yourself into your manifestation as if you've already achieved it. And that's like the key, right? As if you've already achieved it. So that it just becomes
stepping
part
into
of
it,
you.
right?
Yeah.
You're raising your frequency as
Yes.
you're not saying I'm
That's
going
how you
to.
do it.
You're saying I am already doing this.
It's already me. Like it's already
you.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
which part of, so you made the moon water. Mm-hmm. Are you doing this after you have the moon water in your hand at the new moon? Because it's a full moon. So walk me through step by step. What am I doing here?
Okay. All right. So we've charged our moon water outside
we've
with the
charged
new
it.
moon.
Yep.
If we're talking about manifestation. We've brought it inside the next day. And then we start our little manifestation ritual. We hold it in our hands.
Oh, so you can do this at the new moon too. You do it
yeah.
It's like new moon water. It's not
Yes.
full moon water.
Yes.
Oh.
And you could do it with the full moon as well.
I see.
But yeah, if we're talking about ways to manifest for the new moon, you could do that. You could do that with the new moon.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, I just thought this water ritual is only for the full moon, but guess it's not.
Yeah. You
It's
honestly,
versatile.
you could do whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
But this is just something like it's the new moon energy like amplifies this pretty much. You don't even have to do this under the new moon, but it's one of the practices I like to do for manifestation. So you have your moon water, you're holding it in your hands, and then you go into your visualization. You go into a meditation about what you're thinking, feeling, hearing, smelling, seeing who's with you in your manifestation visualization as if you've already achieved that. And you infuse the water with that. And then you drink the water. And it becomes part of your own water's memory. And it's part of your cellular makeup now. So this is kind of like a practice I like to do that's kind of like quantum leaping, right? We're kind of changing our cellular makeup into the cellular makeup, the frequency of us already having achieved that goal.
We are quantum leaping.
We're quantum leaping. Yes. So I don't know.
Just blew my mind. Sorry, that just blew my mind. That is wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
So our thoughts can affect matter, and our intentions can affect matter too. So moving from just the unmanifest into the manifest. And that's a powerful meditation for me. And you can do this with the water, and you could do it without the water. You can do a visualization meditation just like this every day. I like writing it down as well. That really helps, writing a story about it, like maybe even creating a story just so you could tune into those senses about what it's like having already achieved this goal.
Can you give me an example?
Yes. Okay, so say you want to move to Italy.
Okay.
You have this dream to move to Italy, and you're sitting there and you're thinking about what it is going to be like when you move to Italy. So you might think of what street you specifically want to live on. And something I really like to do, I call it like the perfect morning meditation. You could start with from when you wake up in the morning and then just go through a perfect morning routine. What would it look like waking up in this beautiful apartment in Italy? Do I go get a cappuccino down the street? What does it taste like? What am I smelling in the streets? Do I smell the freshly baked bread on the streets of Rome? How does the cobblestone street feel under my feet as I'm walking down it? Who's around me? Who's with me? Is it my partner? Is it my friends that are there? And what am I seeing? So really tuning into all the senses of as if you already have this beautiful apartment in Italy, going through a morning, your perfect morning, as if you've already achieved it, that you've already had this perfect morning. When do I wake up? What's on my to-do list for today? How do I want to kind of lead my day with that? So just starting there, what does my morning look like? And tapping into the visuals of it and tapping into all your senses with it.
I love it. And then maybe you're holding your moon water and then you drink it.
Yeah, there you go. Moon water as tea for breakfast.
I love it. What I loved about your new moon circle, we all sat in a circle with yoga mats, did meditation, we journaled, and when we were journaling, you were giving us prompts to manifest what we wanted to bring in. And then you led us in movement.
Yeah.
And the movement, while you were leading us in the movement, you kind of gave us suggestions to pull in what we had just journaled about so that it felt like it imprinted into every molecule, every fascia that you are, when you're stretching, and it really was impactful for me. So I'm curious, the movement aspect, and obviously there's so many practices of movement, but like that was magic. That was magic for me.
Cool.
But I'm just curious, what is it about the movement?
Yeah.
That kind of imprints it.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Yeah. I like to pull out all the stops for manifestation, right? And
whatever is going to make it happen, let's go.
Yes. And movement is such a beautiful way to do that, because it's one thing to visualize it and think about it and feel it, but it's another thing to embody it.
Yes.
To actually, like you said, imprint it. I love that word. Imprint it in the cells of your very being. And the body has its own innate wisdom, and you are just it's just another way to get that cellular memory into your body, as in you're moving in a way that your body innately wants to move, and in doing that, you're attracting your most aligned self, and then just acting as a sponge for your manifestation. Basically, you're cultivating that internal state that is fertile for manifestation and planting new seeds. Yeah, so embodying it, really feeling it. So instead of thinking, oh, in the future, I am happy. What does it look like in your body when you're happy?
Yes.
Like, does it feel like a big yawn or big stretch? Do you want your heart to be open while you're moving through a yoga flow? And in doing those movements where you're imbuing those emotions in your body, that's just another way where you could just supercharge your manifestations.
So good. It's so good, Lauren. It's so good. Okay, I have a couple more questions for you.
Yes.
What is your spiritual belief system? What would you say your spiritual belief system is?
Oh, wow. Hitting with all the hard questions.
I mean, yes, it's a big existential question.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. My spiritual belief system has just changed and morphed so much throughout my whole life. I've been interested in spiritual studies since I was a very young person. I think it was probably 9 or 10 when I'm like, I want to meditate. And like,
how did you even know about it?
Okay,
how were you exposed to it?
I have this memory of watching Teen Titans on Cartoon Network and then seeing Raven, the superhero Raven. She's like the telekinetic, pretty much witch one.
Obsessed.
And I would see her meditating and levitating in the air and like saying her little mantra, and I was like, that's me, I want to do that. And so from a very young age, I'm like, I want to do that.
But also props to Teen Titan.
Yeah,
for having that representation out there, because when I was growing up, there wasn't any of that. We've evolved.
Yes, we've evolved.
We're all coming up.
And then probably at like the age of 11 or 12, I like bought my first tarot deck. I started playing with tarot. Always been interested in astrology. I'm actually studying to read professional charts right now. But it's always been kind of there, like in the background. And I kind of took from different belief systems, different religions, and I kind of didn't know how to form my own view on spirituality. So I actually, fun fact, I majored in religious studies at the University of Pittsburgh. With like a focus on East Asian religion, so I can kind of get a little bit closer to what I was interested in. And then it shape-shifted, and I took a yoga teacher training last year that I completed in February of 2024. And I feel like that really solidified things for me. And now I can look at my spirituality and say that my form of connecting with the divine, my spirituality is, again, it goes back to that law of correspondence. It's aligning my inner cycles with the external world and the outer cycles. So if I were to put my spirituality in a nutshell, it would be that. Aligning my frequency with the outer world so I can get closer to myself as a human, so I can get closer to that capital S self, that unchanging, perfect witness consciousness that we all have within ourselves.
Wow, that is beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that. Wow. Religious studies.
Yes. Oh my, I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. I thought I was also going to be a naturopathic doctor, so I was on a pre-medicine course at the same time, religious studies, and then I also did a minor in studio arts because I just love like being creative and drawing.
And you're also an RN.
And I'm an RN. Yeah, I went to nursing school after Pitt and University of Pittsburgh. And I actually just recently quit my job as a registered nurse. It's something that for a long time I felt like I should do and that I was expected to do. I come from a whole family of nurses. And at that point when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I was like, still don't know what I want to do. Might as well go to nursing school, So I went to U of R's nursing school. And yeah, it took me 6 years to really realize it just wasn't aligned. It just like wasn't aligned within me. I never felt like I fit in the medical system. While I loved learning about medicine and healing and science, I'm a huge science nerd in high school also. I never felt like I fit in. I always kind of felt like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like I would just never felt like anything was right when I would go into work. So I jumped from job to job as a nurse, hoping to get a little closer to what fit me better and what was less stressful. And I landed in this job most recently that was an outpatient surgery center. It was only during the week. It was pretty chill. And while I'm so thankful for that, that did give me the space to explore other interests in my life. So up until then, my spirituality dropped off so hard. Like it being in the medical system, I just came home most days just borderline panic attack / crying. It was just this feeling of, I know I'm not in the right place. And so finally I started having that feeling in my less stressful nursing job. And I'm like, if I'm going to have a panic attack here, I'm going to have a panic attack literally everywhere in whatever environment as a nurse. So yeah, I left nursing as of September 2024, and I really haven't looked back. It kind of created this space that I needed to create in order to bring in the moon circle, in order to bring in more of my teaching and yoga, in order to, again, like create the space to get closer to myself and like what it means to be a human in this weird world that we live in.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. Incredible story. But I love how, you are honoring your gut feeling, your instinct.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I think it's hard for a lot of people when they're in the grind, in the masculine society that is, hustle, go.
Yeah, and there were so many opinions. There were just so many opinions flying around. And like at the end of the day, I just had to ask, okay, well, like, what do I really want? And at the end of the day, another person's version of success doesn't have to align with your version of success.
Yes.
And my version of success wasn't being dead inside at work every day. It's talking about this shit that lights me up so much. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Final question. What do you think happens when you die? From an ex-nurse and a basic witch.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. I love this question. I love this question. Okay. So I've talked a little bit about the self and the soul. I believe we all have souls inside us, and this capital S self to me is the unchanging part of ourself, and we're all just kind of parading around in this meat suit, right? Our physical bodies. And I err towards the side of reincarnation, but reincarnation in a way that when we leave this world, our bodies get left behind, but our souls live on. And our souls have this option to reincarnate into a new body so they can kind of advance in their, I guess let's call it like spiritual dharma, like their duty in this life. And I believe every time that we reincarnate, we kind of get closer to this dharma or this duty or this highest expression of the self. And we spend a lifetime shedding all these beliefs, all these overlays, all these things that cloud our true self, this soul. And yeah, I believe that our soul lives on after we die. I don't think that's just the end. I believe in the other side. I believe in spirits and ghosts. I believe in all that stuff. And when we leave this world, it's just this knowing. It's just this collective consciousness. It's just this primordial knowledge of everything, and that we're kind of like in that soup until we go into the next life. So yeah. Obsessed. I love it. Also same. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It just makes sense to me, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to me too.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, Lauren, thank you so much.
This was so fun. Thank you, Laura.
Fun. Please come sit on my couch all the time.
Yeah, have me back.
I will.
Oh my God.
When you have your virtual offerings, especially too.
Oh, I would love that. Yes.
And so everyone can access.
Yeah, we're manifesting that right now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's spoken out into the world. Now it's
going to happen. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to put my water in a jar outside and talk about how many people this is going to reach.
Yeah,
and it's going to be great.
Thank you, Laura. It's been awesome.
Will you be charging up your water under this full moon? Let me know on Instagram at The Woo Report and join the community at thewooreportpodcast.com. New episodes will be up every Wednesday. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. Thank you for following, liking, sharing, and rating this podcast. So grateful you're here. Bye.